day. And a good morning to you. Welcome to hour number 2 of the Art Lewis Show here on WSGW. We're going to spend the first part of it with State Representative Bill G. Schuette. And we say good morning to Representative Schuette. Bill, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Art. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. All right. Got to ask this question. Almost all the candidates running for governor, for office, are saying, we're going to get rid of taxes, we're going to cut this, we're going to do that. If everybody running is in such agreement, why haven't you guys done it? Just thought I'd ask.
Well, I think there is, it's an encouraging thing, Art, that you see on the Republican side. There's strong agreement that we need to deliver tax relief to Michigan families because, Michigan families have to balance the budget. They have to, make sure that they're making ends meet. And our state government has just been spending more and more money, and that makes life more expensive for them. And, you look across our state, Art, we're not growing as fast as states to the south, states that have a more competitive tax environment, and we're losing because of that. So I think it's good you're seeing that agreement on the Republican side. We have divided government right now, and we proposed as House Republicans, we control one of the kind of three levers of the process down in Lansing. We proposed a bold property tax cut package that the Senate and the governor wouldn't even touch. Now I'm hopeful this next election we can elect some leaders in Lansing alongside our companions in the state house to make sure that we provide some meaningful tax relief for Michigan families.
I was a little surprised. I have to tell you this. I was a little surprised that the final amount of the budget was actually lower than was anticipated because we kept hearing 80 million, and ended up, 76 or something like that?
Yeah, billion with a B.
With a billion, not million, B.
If we got it down to $80 million, I'd be really happy.
B.
I don't think that's possible anytime soon.
I don't think so.
80. No, but Art, that was one of the big wins of this budget. Is we were able to provide a budget that does a couple of things. One, it provides record funding for our schools. So there is more funding for our schools, but it's accompanied with our important accountability measures to make sure that we're going to give schools the resources they need to educate our children. But we want to make sure that these Mississippi Miracle style programs, phonics, more time on task in the classroom, those are the programs that are implemented in the schools alongside with that funding.
I'm glad to hear you say that because I was going to ask, are we getting our money's worth?
I knew I was ready for you, Art. I knew every time I mentioned funding for schools, you mentioned that. So I was ready for you. But no, that's an important, part of that funding for the schools. And then, secondly, Art, the fact that we were able to deliver a budget that spends less taxpayer dollars than last year is really important because that means the governor and the Senate both proposed either tax increases or raiding our state's rainy day fund in order to balance the state budget so they could spend even more. And that's not acceptable. I mean, we're not in a time of crisis right now in our state. This is not 2008 or 2009. But, Michigan families, they're already, squeezed and nickeled and dimed by state government. We don't need to take more money out of their pockets. Those were two really big wins I was happy with in the budget.
So the $76 million, does it represent what's being collected? Is that how it was balanced? Or does it also include a surplus for the rainy day fund?
There's not a ton that's going into the rainy day fund in this budget, Art, but again, divided government when we're having when the Democrats wanted to raid the rainy day fund. I think it's better that we're making sure first we balance without going into the rainy day fund. But what we did in this budget, Art, and this is it's not quite zero-based budgeting that you and I would both like to get to with our state,
Right.
our state budget that, every small business owner in the Great Lakes Bay region has to do. But what it is we went to actual dollars spent for these departments and for these budgets, because we've talked about this before, Art. The Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy would request a really big number for the budget, so they needed it for all these employees, and then they wouldn't fill those positions, and then that money would kind of become a slush fund for the department to spend on whatever program or thing that they liked. And so what we said is, no, we're only going to give you, we're only going to authorize spending for these departments of the actual dollars spent. And that's a big shift in philosophy, and it was a big win for Michigan families.
Let's talk about something that's not a win for the Great Lakes Bay region. SK Sultron has announced that it's pulling up stakes. That was a kind of a surprise, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a surprise. It was disappointing. I will also say it shows that kind of the philosophy of the Whitmer and the Biden administration of trying to, instead of fix our business climate, just cut big checks is not a solution to growing our state's economy. And obviously, your heart goes out to all those who were, laid off and who have lost their jobs. And it's a big loss for our region to lose this type of company. But it should serve as a wake-up call for all of us in the Great Lakes Bay region, Art, that, we need to be serious in our state about improving our economic environment, because even a, big ribbon-cutting style business like this, it's tough to make it when in Gretchen Whitmer's Michigan.
The only good news about it, if there was any, I wouldn't call it good news, but at least they paid back what they got from the government. So we'll give them credit for that. Yep. We'll give them credit for that.
Yeah. That's a low bar to clear, but at least they did that. It's better than what we saw with some of the Goshen project that still hasn't paid the state back.
So if I could say to you right now, Bill, you can have anything you want in the state legislature to be able to attract business to Michigan, what would it be? What would be the mechanism to bring new business to Michigan?
I think what it starts with, if I had one piece of legislation that I think would be helpful, it goes back to changing our bureaucratic culture. Now, the tax issue is a major thing, Art, and we need to deliver meaningful property tax relief for Michigan families, and then an income tax cut could really energize our small business growth here in the state of Michigan. But if I'm thinking about what can I do when you look that states like Indiana and Ohio are doing better than Michigan, our closest, most direct competitors, it's our regulatory environment. So if we could get to a system where you order a pizza from Domino's or what have you, it gets delivered late. They say it's going to be to you in 30 minutes and it gets to you in an hour. Your next pizza is free. Well, if you apply for a permit with the state of Michigan and they don't meet their own internal deadlines, they should refund you the fees. They should refund you those costs. And I think that is a change you've seen enacted in a lot of different states. It's common sense accountability for our bureaucracy in our state that is slowing up way too many things for Michigan families.
Really, I mean, the bureaucracy that runs all the departments and everything in the state, the only leverage you have is the budget, right?
The budget is a point of leverage for us. And I'd also say, Art, a big point of leverage for us is, policy bills that we enact that requires then the governor to sign. So what you need is the budget when we're in, 1/3 of the process right now is our biggest point of leverage. But with a governor, you can really shake things up in the bureaucracy and that culture. But that takes leadership.
Yeah. All right, hang on. I know you can only do one more segment. We'll be back for that right after these notes with State Representative Bill G. Schuette.
I'm talking to Attorney Jerry.
All right, we are talking to State Representative Bill G. Schuette. And, Bill, I want to take you out of state government for a minute. And I don't know how much of this you can talk about, but I'm going to ask anyway. You were an intelligence analyst for the Defense Intelligence Agency for a few years. What kind of shape is our intelligence?
I never saw the cocaine hippos, Art. I never saw the cocaine hippos. Yeah.
What kind of shape is our intelligence community in?
Yeah, that's a good question, Art, and I appreciate you asking that. And it was an honor to serve our country as an intelligence officer, and I was based in our nation's capital, but I supported our counter-drug operations in Mexico alongside a special forces unit there. And I was deployed by the Defense Intelligence Agency to the Middle East to do counter-terror. So between the drug lords and the terrorists, I helped go after some of the nastier people that are out there. I think the capacity of our intelligence service is strong, but the intelligence analysis is the intelligence input is only as good as the analysis on the outside, right? So you can provide information about what's going on, but if it's not interpreted through the right lens and a policymaker isn't ready to listen and hear it, it doesn't do any good, right? And what else I would say about that process, Art, is when I was an intelligence officer, I was an intelligence officer under the Trump administration and under the Biden administration, and my role was to take the information and provide it to the policymakers for them to make a decision. And it wasn't my role as an intelligence officer to say this is what you policymakers should do. That's what the elected policymakers were supposed to do. My job was to collect and disseminate the intelligence in a way that provides the information the policymaker needs to make a decision. And what you worry about, Art, is when sometimes those who are in the intelligence say, well, instead of allowing the elected policymakers to make decisions, we're trying to subvert that process ourselves. So it's always a constant push and pull, but it was an honor of a lifetime to serve there, and I know there's a lot of really great people in the intelligence operations still.
I appreciate it. I just thought I'd ask. So
it's a good question. That was the first time we've talked about that. So,
I know it. That's what.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so let's bring it back to Michigan, if you will.
Yeah.
We sit here in Michigan, and particularly in mid-Michigan, where we are, and we've suffered weather disasters, natural disasters. We had the floods, the dams.
Yeah.
And by the way, Sanford Lake looks wonderful right now.
Isn't that great? Art, we have talked about that so many times on your show, is about how we wanted to drive up US 10 and see Sanford Lake, and now we can do it. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it really is. How long before the rest of the projects get done, and is the state still supportive of it all with this budget?
State is still very supportive, and I think over the next 2 years you're going to see the rest of the lakes fill up, and those timelines constantly adjust with rainfall, completion timelines. But what you've seen is about $250 million of investment from the state there, and you saw recently that the special assessments along Sanford Lake are coming down. And that's, thanks to the work of the Four Lakes Task Force to make sure they're building high-quality dams, high-quality infrastructure, but also because the, money I was able to secure in last year's state budget to go directly towards bringing down those special assessments. So state continues to be very supportive of it. And I think it's a good lesson, Art, is part of the most recent budget that we did not talk about was there was money for dam safety and to make sure that dams are built up to code and secure. And this is for significant and high hazard dams. And some people reached out to me and they said, well, gee, Bill, it's really expensive for my county, my township to maintain this high hazard dam. I don't like that we're putting these significant safety requirements on it. And I said, well, take it from me. It is a heck of a lot more expensive to deal with the disaster and the cleanup, both material and immaterial, after a dam failure than it is to make sure that the dams are up to code and safely built.
It sounds like they caught that at the Sheboygan Dam.
They barely they just got it in time, and I think that was I know for a lot of us here, Art, in the Great Lakes Bay region, that was a little bit of deja vu, a little flashback to what happened. And thankfully, they avoided as disastrous of a situation as we had in Midland. But it's a reminder that we have a significant water infrastructure issue in the state of Michigan, in our Great Lakes state. We need to make sure we get it fixed.
Well, speaking of infrastructure in the state, does this budget provide any more infrastructure money, particularly to locals?
Yes. Yep. So we continued. Last year we put in a significant funding increase and funding plan for the roads. You're paying less in taxes at the gas pump now than you were before our changes last year. So you're paying less in taxes at the gas pump, which I know everybody can appreciate right now. A, and B, every single penny that you pay in state taxes at the pump is going directly to your roads. But also there was money for water infrastructure. I mentioned this dam safety fund, but also a couple of important wins that I wanted to highlight were two local projects. And instead of trying to fund a splash pad and a Zen Center, Art, we've always talked about my priority with these local investments are local infrastructure projects. So there was money for a water infrastructure project in Beaverton and a lift station in Coleman. So those are two big wins for two communities that really could use that type of investment from the state.
I know something your dad's involved in is the flood reduction project in cooperation with the Corps. Any money in the budget to help them?
So we've gotten $50 million over the last 4 years. Not in this specific project budget was there money for that. But I'm sure you could have him on the show, and he'd love to give you an update on the latest work with the Corps. And I know there is some money in federal money coming for that. So it'd be a good double feature for you to have him on sometime soon. I know he'd love to give you an update. So.
Well, Bill, look, I know you got to run, so I'll let you go this morning, but we'll chat again in the near future.
Sounds good. Thank you very much, Art.
Thanks. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
State Representative Bill G. Schuette, we thank him for his time. We'll have open phones for the remainder of the hour, 989-752-6111.
Gotta go.
All right, we're back with you here on WSGW. As I mentioned, open phones for the remainder of the hour, 989-752-6111. If you woke up this morning seeing sunshine and thinking, well, the smoke is gone, not quite. There is relief. We do not have the amount of smoke that we had from the Canadian and Minnesota fires. However, the numbers are going up again. But the numbers are still a lot less than they were. There is a chart that they show, and you can have a number up to like 400. And we were running yesterday, over the weekend, and particularly Friday, we had numbers in the 370, 380. We were in the highest rated category, hazardous. We started out this morning, our number was 82 in the moderate category, which wasn't bad. It has since gone up to 101, which puts us right on the edge of unhealthy for sensitive groups. So it's still out there. It's not as bad as it was. It might improve as we get a change in wind direction to a southerly flow. But for now, anyway, it is not as bad as it was. That's not to say you should go out and overexert yourself, particularly if you are in that sensitive group. And that sensitive group includes folks with any kind of respiratory problems, asthma, for example. So you should be careful not overexert. At least the temperatures are down. So we're not facing the extreme heat that we were earlier last week. Right now in Saginaw, it's 66 degrees, and that's fairly reasonable. And, the temperatures today pushing around the 80-degree mark, somewhere in there. But that's a lot better than it was. But still, just understand that you need to watch yourself if you have any of the issues that they talk about in terms of lung capacity and all that. Let's talk to Bruce in Saginaw. Bruce, good morning to you.
Good morning. In the first hour, Jonathan made several statements. One was that the older population is a large voting bloc, and I agree with that, and that because they're a large voting bloc, they tend to get what they want, and I also agree with that. But then he made the statement, I think I heard him say, that the older generation are the people who want all the handouts. And I find that kind of insulting because the only thing I'm getting from the government is Social Security and Medicare, which isn't a handout because I already paid for it.
Amen. I got to tell you, when I heard him say that, I winced a little bit too, because I'm 83. I'm in that group. I have said for many years, I've said this, and I think you might agree with it, Bruce. Social Security. Let's talk about that for a minute, because that is in danger in the 30s when we get into 2032, something like that. If they don't do something with it, it's going to force them to reduce payments. I have said, and I still believe this, whatever they do to Social Security will not impact you or me, those people getting Social Security, simply because we are a large voting bloc. Now, I could be wrong. I hope I'm not. But that's the way I've always looked at it, that the senior population that are on these programs, they won't get impacted because they vote, and they are more likely to vote than some of the younger generations. But either way, I'm like you. I don't look at it as a handout because I paid for it all my life. However, having said that, and let me see if you agree with this or not, Social Security as a program has gone way beyond what its intent was back in the 30s. By that I mean it was designed as a safety net. So you'd have some supplement to your retirement. I got to tell you today, if you did what I did, was waited till I was 70 to take it, it's not a supplement. I could retire on it. If I had no other income, I could retire on it. And there are fewer people paying into it. That in and of itself can't sustain. What do you think?
Okay. I agree with almost everything you said there, other than I took it at 62 because I wasn't sure how long it was going to be around, and I can't retire on it.
Right. Well, that's the difference, and that's a choice you make, and we all make those choices. But it just seems to me that it's gotten way beyond what it was intended for. And the other thing that's happened is it hasn't kept up with the actuarial tables. We're not dying at 66 and 67 anymore. Most people are living through their 80s and 90s, and somehow that all has to be balanced out.
Art, I think I agree with everything you're saying, but from a person who has worked almost all their life and to have paid into it for 40 years, when someone comes on and says that I'm taking a handout and that basically I'm a parasite on American society, that's to me insulting.
Yeah.
And it's more than just the money. It's the being referred to that way that bothers me.
And I understand that, and I don't disagree with you. However, having said that, I'm not sure which group it is. It could be all groups. We're riding this wave of free, 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 free. That's why all these Democrat socialists are making headway, in particularly the big cities. They're offering everything for nothing. Well, guess what? There's no free lunch. Who's going to pay for it? Everybody else is going to pay for it. But people jump on board when you say, I'm going to give you free housing. I'm going to give you free this, free that. Society has got to correct itself. I mean, this is out of hand now.
Oh, I absolutely agree with you. I'm against handouts. I'm just concerned that he's referring that he may, and he didn't mention Social Security, so I can't really come out and say that he said that.
And I don't think he meant it that way. I understand what you're saying, and as I say, I winced when I heard it too. But it was not specific to Social Security. It was a generalization of what's happening in society. And there are a lot of older folks who do look for freebies, but they're not alone. I mean, there's other groups that do the same thing.
Right, exactly. So, no, I have a pension from a local large company, so I took the Social Security just so I wouldn't have to withdraw from my 401k.
And that works for you. See that? And we're all individuals. Yeah. Everybody works differently. I didn't have that. I have a small pension from one of the previous owners of this broadcasting facility, but I didn't have, one of the nice pensions that the big corporations offered. So I waited. I'm glad I did, but on the one hand, I'm glad I did. I don't regret it, but I also ask myself, how long can they continue this? I don't have the answer to that. I really don't. But something's going to have to be done.
Okay. I think you and I are on the same page.
I think so too, Bruce.
Okay. Thank you very much for
buddy.
your time.
Thanks for calling. Take care. Bye-bye.
You're welcome.
We'll take a break. We'll get to Paul next. Let me take a moment to ask how you slept last night because, today we're asked to do more for less. And when you go to bed and you spend, theoretically, you spend a third of your life there, you need quality sleep. You can get it with a quality mattress from Sanitary Mattress. Now, you can visit all the so-called sleep stores, or you can rest assured your mattress is manufactured right here in the Great Lakes Bay region to your specifications. Your time in bed may be cut short by today's demanding world, but you can still get a quality good night's sleep on a Sanitary Mattress. By the way, they feature a 1-hour delivery window of your mattress to your home. If you have an RV or a boat, Sanitary Mattress will custom make a mattress for you to the exact size you need, something box stores can't do. Visit the Sanitary Mattress Factory and Showroom at 5343 Janes Road in Saginaw, just east of the Harry Brown Airport. Visit them online at sanitarymattress.com or call them 989-753-1757. Sanitary Mattress, serving the Great Lakes Bay region since 1935. Here on WSGW, back to our phones. Next up is Paul in Saginaw. Paul, good morning.
Morning, Art. One thing I agree with Trump on that's going to be very critical coming up is that the Senate and the House Republicans, which have a slim majority in both houses, they need to, the Senate Republicans need to get rid of that filibuster in order to get things done. Even Trump has said just a simple majority would get some things done if they got rid of that filibuster. And if they don't do that, nothing's going to get done and nothing's going to get fixed.
Well, here's here's the good news, bad news about that. The good news is, yes, you get rid of it, things will get done. The bad news is, at the midterms, if you were to, say, lose the Senate, guess what? The other side now can get things done with a simple majority. So you have to balance out, what are you willing to give to get what you want right now? Because you're also dealing with the future. You're not just dealing with now.
I get it. But the thing of it is they've got to do something pretty soon. because it's just things are just going to continue to get worse.
Yeah, but you see, the thing is, if you get rid of the filibuster, and I have to be honest, I'm not a great fan of it. I never have been. But where we are now, if you get rid of it right now, and let's say all of a sudden you don't have the filibuster to deal with, and they pass a whole rasher of things that the House has passed, and then you lose the Senate and the House, next time it gets all reversed. So you gain nothing.
Right.
You gain nothing.
Right.
I just, it's a real quandary. It really is.
Yep. And we've also got to do something also about our dollar. Our dollar is only worth a fraction of a penny. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but we've got to do something to shore up the dollar, because the last time a dollar was worth 100 pennies was back in the 70s. And that's because in the early 70s there, Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard when it was $35 an ounce. And now gold is, way up and down. We need to put some kind of precious metal standard back on our currency to improve the value of our dollar.
Well, there's something else we could do to improve the value of the dollar. We get Congress to stop spending so much money. It's one of the reasons the dollar is devalued. I mean, let's face it, when you got $37 trillion in debt, whatever it is, your dollar's not worth as much. Hey, I got to run. I want to get one more in here. All right, Paul.
All right.
Talk to you later.
Okay.
Bye-bye now.
Okay.
Last call's going to be Tim in Hemlock. Tim, good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning to you, too, Art. I was listening to you interview the representative, and he said the Republican Party wants to cut property taxes, Michigan property taxes.
Right.
And we have 83 Michigan counties, and their primary funding is property taxes. What are they going to make up for that, or what are they going to cut if that happens? I don't
have an answer to that other than the fact that whatever the portion of the property tax is that goes to the state, I guess, is up for grabs. But listen, I asked that question specifically because every candidate all says, "Oh yeah, we're going to cut property taxes. We're going to get rid of the income tax. We're going to do this. We're going to do that." And we all know it never happens. So I just, I don't.
That's my question. My question too is, well, how are they going to fund things? I mean, there's certain things that are already dependent upon that.
Exactly.
That state mandates, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
So.
Oh, by the way, on one thing on the filibuster, you would just be playing ping pong. I don't like it either, but. Yeah. We wouldn't have any stability.
Yeah, exactly.
That's another problem.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
All right, Tim, thanks. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
I know.
All right, that'll do it for this hour. We'll tell you what's ahead on Focus right after these notes.
Beautiful new floors can completely transform your home. At Westside Decorating Center, explore thousands of flooring options in our showroom, including carpet.
Do it for the Art Lewis Show for this Monday. We'll be back tomorrow with lots more. Also, tomorrow morning, we will be out and about in Bay City giving away potatoes, promoting the Munger Potato Festival coming up soon. We'll tell you more about that tomorrow morning, though. Coming up on Focus, we welcome Linda Shepard to the studio. She owns Miles Market, where there's going to be some concert activity coming up that we'll tell you all about. That will follow the news from ABC, bringing you up to date on the world and the nation. And the local report, Jonathan Dent in the WSGW newsroom. I'm Art Lewis. We'll be back with you with Focus right after the news.
Broadcasting from the